Right guys, in this section we're going to talk about the Content tab. This is a very important one because it's going to make managing the style of the actual words and the images on the page much easier. So it's very important that you follow my advice here. So let me just go to one of these pages. If I click on one of the menu buttons, it'll like take me to that page for me to be able to mess around with it. Now I'm on the Content tab here. These tools here are very important indeed. If I this little area here it's highlighted in orange, if I click in that, it'll allow me, see it's taking me over to the Edit tab now, it'll allow me to start entering text and images onto that page. So I can start typing stuff. So there's something I might put on the what is it page because I'm talking about Web Catalyst, and I type in a bit of text there. Okay. Now there's a thing in website design called style sheets, and this is a way of kind of creating categories of different page elements. And what style sheets are for is to define the ways certain things should look. So say for example we might want ordinary page text. That might be one style. We might have headings. We might have well, actually all the things on the Content tab here. We have headings, we have normal text, links, images, that type of thing. And the reason we want to set defined styles for each of these categories is so that when we write a heading, we want to make sure that all headings are styled exactly the same. And by styled I mean same font, same size, same color, exactly the same. So that, again, back to the usability thing, when people are browsing through the website, they want to see a header and know it's a header because it looks like all the other headers they've ever come across. And what we don't want to be doing is writing our headers and having to go through every page on our website, highlighting them, and then setting them as bold, setting them as the right font, all that kind of thing. We want to do it once, and then we want that to apply throughout the whole site. And that's why this section is so important. So in the content section here, I'm going to start on the far right here, on the headline. So the headline is this. This is basically the name of the page. And this is the one that we've ended up with, or I've ended up with, because I'm modifying one of the styles that Artisty originally generated. Because I went for a suggested design, and then I've modified that throughout this process. So I'm on the content section. And now I don't want this blue blob, this little button icon on my header, on my title. Don't want that. So when I go to headline, this is where the icon thing comes in. And there's a whole bunch of icons built into Artisty. I really don't like them, so I'm just going to go no icon. Here we go. It's looking better. I don't really particularly like this grey background either, so when I go to headline, I can change that as well. No, sorry, it's not in headline, it's in post header here. Post header, and in the fill section. There we go, that's what I'm looking for. And if I click on this one here, which has got a dotted line around it, now it's going to make that white background. Like that. I need to go back in here as well because there's also a border I want to get rid of. So border style, border width, no border. And that should get rid of it. There we go, that's better. Still not quite happy with that. Now I've got rid of the styling. I still want to go back into my headline, make sure that the font is correct. So I'm going to select here text, and then font, and then I'm going to go down to my Verdana font. It's my favorite one. There we go. So that's what the heading is going to look like. And just so I can see what it's going to look like in the real world, I'm going to put in the header what it is. Actually, that should be what is it, and what it is. That's right. Still doesn't quite look like a headline to me. So where's my content headline? I'm going to change the styling and make it bold. That's looking a bit better. I need to make it bigger as well if it's really truly going to be a heading. There we go. The reason I'm going to make it as big as that is as people change pages from one to the other, they're going to have their eyes on this menu button, what it does, and they're going to click on it. And so they don't get lost in your website, you need to make absolutely sure they know where they've arrived on. Even though they've clicked on a page called what it does, you need to reinforce or give them confidence that they've landed on the right page. Okay, so that's why in here we want to call each of the pages what they're called. and have the headings match like what it does. So as they browse around the site, they click the what is it and they land on the what is it page, and it actually tells them where they are. It might sound elementary to you, but trust me, you want to make it as easy, as foolproof to navigate your website as possible. Now another thing I'm going to do here is show you how these styles work. So below my bit of text here, I'm going to type in things like heading 1, heading 2, and heading 3. Oops, but heading 3 like that, because this is one of the categories of style that we're going to use. Then I'm going to put something here called normal text, and then what have I got back on the content tab? I've got hyperlinks, which is just links, and then I've got images, tables, and quotes. So let me just put quotes in there. Now even though I've just typed in all of those things, at the moment that's all just plain text because I haven't applied the style to it. If I highlight heading 1, and it took me over to the edit tab now, this is like the word processor thing. In this little paragraph box down here, at the moment it's saying this text you've got selected is a paragraph. It's got the paragraph style applied to it. And if I drop this down, I see all the other sort of standard styles built in. So if I click on heading 1, heading 1 is a defined style. It's a category. It already has a certain set of settings, like a certain font, a certain size, a certain color, like that. And at the moment it's blue, it's in a particular font, and it's a particular size, etc. Now that might not fit into our site design or the way it looks or the color scheme. And I'm going to go through and just set all these up so I can see what they look like. What does a heading 2 look like at the moment? What does a heading 3 look like? Like that. So it already knows what a heading 1, 2, and 3 should look like. I don't like that at the minute. I'm going to change what it does to things I tell it are heading 1s. Yeah. So normal text is the same. Links, I'm going to turn that into a link, which I can do by highlighting it, clicking on hyperlink, and then where does it want to go? Address. So I tell it to go to www.google.com and click OK. That's going to turn that into a link for me. I see at the minute links are blue and they go grey and underlined when I wave over them. Okay, so that's the style that's been applied to it. And for the quotes thing, to highlight that, click on quote, and then that's what a quote looks like. It's got a grey background, this little quote thing, and it's kind of made them in italics. Don't like that either, but at least we know how the current style sheet is set up. Now you can override these styles by using this edit tab. If I were to highlight any of this, I can pretty much do what I want with it, like change the font, change the size, but it will only apply to the bit of text that I've selected. This is why we want to use the style sheets, because I don't want to go through the whole site and select every heading and then set up which font it should use, which color it should be. I just want to set it once. So this is heading 1, this is normal text, this is a link, and have it apply the style. Then in the future, if I decide I want to change how my headings look, I just change the style once, and then the next time the site loads, it's got that style to refer to, so all of the headings change automatically. So I'd recommend you do exactly what I've just done. Type in a header, type in a bit of normal text, typing the words heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, and then highlight them, go to the edit tab and apply that particular style to it so you can see what it looks like. Now if we go back to the content tab, we can modify and manipulate these styles. So if I click on headings and heading 1, we'll get access to all of the settings for heading 1s. We can see what color they are, we can see what font they're using and what size they are, and so on and so on and so on. Just to prove this point to you, let me just go to the what it does page. Right, because you can see that style for the headline has already worked, because it's every page now has got a heading on it, and they're all the same. I haven't updated the titles yet, but you get what I'm talking about. So here, let's say I put on here heading 1. It doesn't have to say heading 1. You can put anything else, like this is a heading. And when I apply, highlight that, go to the edit tab and say this is a heading 1. And I say this bit of text is a heading 2. Okay, so it works the same way. Doesn't matter what it says. We just applied that style to it. So this is where we're working on the content tab. Headings. Go to headings, color. Now what I would quite like is for my headings to be the same color as the word web here, like this, just so the color scheme is consistent. So if I go to more colors, what this will allow me to do is my trusty color selector that always comes up. What we've been working with before is the hex colors, and I could open the Web Catalyst logo in paint.net and then find out what the hex color is. But Artist here has a nice little feature we've got, is if you, because you can, click on any of the colors in the spectrum here and it will set it up for you, and click OK and it'll work. But also if you move your mouse outside of the color picker, you get this little droplet thing, and you can see, watch this little space here, as you move around it's going to give you a little preview of where your mouse is. So this is going to let us sample the colors. So I said I wanted to have the headers the same color as the web blue. So all I have to do is put my mouse and sample the color that I want, click, and there it is. It takes a snapshot of what that color is, and then when I click OK, my heading 1s are now going to be in that color, and no matter where I go on the website, wherever I've applied a heading 1, it's updated the styles automatically. So you see what I'm saying about just defining the style once, and then it would propagate amongst the whole site, and it saves you having to go to each page and updating the colors and everything else. And so I'm not quite finished with this yet. Just go back to what it is. I quite like for my all my headings to have the same font, so go to for Dana there as well, and as if by magic it's updated the heading 1 there as well. The reason for doing this heading 1, heading 2, heading 3 thing is like this is how you want to organize your web pages. So this is like the major page title, and you want to break up the wording on your site so that people are able to scan it. So if they don't want to read every word, they just want to go from top to bottom, find a heading that says what the section's about, and they just want to read that bit. Let me just show you a real world example of this. I've just visited the Google About section. Now take a look at what they're up to here. They've got a heading here which gives just a one-line introduction to what the next bit is about. They've got another headline here, but you notice the main headline is bigger than the next headline, and so on. So these are the sub-headlines. Now I don't want to have to read the whole page, right? If I just want to know about Google's initiatives, I just scan that headline. That's not what I want, so I'll just skip that bit of content. Don't want news, so I'll skip that bit. Don't want jobs, don't want investor relations, skip all that. Don't want doodles, skip that bit. Aha, there we go, initiatives. So now just miss all that out and come right here. So this has everything to do with design more than anything. It's not just about graphics and making the web page look good. It's about laying out your information in a way that's easy for people to read, and that's what headings are for. So something that's a heading 1 starts a topic. Something that's a heading 2 would then say this is a subtopic, and you could have several heading 2s. And then if people saw another heading 1, they'd expect you to start a new topic. Yeah, so that's just a way of breaking everything down. So let's just finish this process off. Go back to the content section and change my main page text. I want to have that in Verdana as well. So make sure this is all consistent. I might want the page text to be slightly bigger. Wonder what it's set on at the moment. Let's see here. 12. Whatever you want it to be. Put mine on 14. And then, much like when we were messing around with the menu, hyperlinks come in 3 different states. When they're just sat on their own, when they've been visited. So if it's a link you've already clicked on, it will be different. And then how it behaves when you wave over it, right? So at the minute we've got no underline and then an underline when you wave over it. We can easily change that around by saying hovered links style. So there's the underline, no underline. And say we do hyperlink normally has an underline. So what I've done there, I've just switched it round. So when I wave over the link now, it does the opposite. An underline tells you it's a link. When you wave over it, the underline disappears. And finally the quote thing. This has got more settings because it's a more sophisticated page element, and you can play around with all this stuff. There's all these different quote icons built in. you can play with all that stuff. These quote sections are good for like testimonials and things like that. And if you don't like any of these quotes, you just go to iStock Photo, buy one that you like, and then add it from file and just select what you want. Just before we close this section, I just want to mention something important. I just put some extra stuff here. Talk about lists, because these are important. So let me just put some dummy text here. List item 1, list item 2, list item 3. Because I just spent some time talking about good ways of formatting pages for them to be easy to read. And if I just highlight these 3 things and make them into a bullet list. So that's what a bullet point list is going to look like. So this is the same process of saying to artists here, show me what a heading 1 looks like, show me what a bullet point list looks like. When we're on the content tab, we can also style our lists. So the image is what the actual bullet icon is. You don't have to have just a little dot, you can have a big dot like that if you want. You can have almost anything as a bullet, and there's just loads and loads and loads of them built into Artistia here. There's ticks, and there's pages, and there's stars, and there's everything you could imagine in here. And again, as ever, if you don't like any of them, go to iStock Photo, buy another one, load it in from file, right? You can even have little stars, what's that, little cup of tea that you can have as list items you want. And the same goes for numbered lists as well.